Your social anxiety is affecting your life. It's affecting your friendships. It's affecting your career. It's affecting your academics. It's affecting your confidence. This is the video for you. For someone who has struggled with social anxiety for almost all her life, this is something that I've constantly worked at. Where I used to be to where I am today has significantly changed, and I no longer resonate with the person who had severe social anxiety anymore. And where I am today is a place where I never thought that I would be when it came to my social anxiety. And in this video, I'm going to share how my social anxiety impacts me, the tools that I did to overcome my social anxiety, and hopes that those tools will help you. Now, this is just my perception. This is not a how-to guide. And I do want to state, no matter how many videos you watch when it comes to dealing with social anxiety, the only way that you're going to deal with it is if you actively work on it and put yourself in situations where you have to talk to people that you don't know, and put yourself in situations where you have to public speak. The major peak of my social anxiety was back in 2022. I'm now entering my third year at university, and the lockdown has been lifted, and now I can finally enter school in person. And this is entering my junior year. I started university in 2020. I'm now entering for the first time in person in 2022. And I have no idea how to communicate to people who are my age. I have no idea how to introduce myself. I have no idea how to be friends with people. I have no idea even how to raise my hand in class and ask a question to the professor without having anxiety. And my social anxiety as well came to a point where I couldn't hold eye contact with anyone for more than 3 seconds. I stuttered a lot, and my thought to speech process was very slow. I had things I wanted to say, but I couldn't formulate the things that I wanted to say. I wasn't as articulate as how I am right now. And when I used to talk to people, if you and I are having eye contact, my eyes would be this way. I'm talking to you, or I'm looking at the floor. I just did not want to make eye contact, and I was just so aware of the fact that I was making eye contact with someone that it would freak me out and it would give me more anxiety. And my social anxiety also put me in situations that involved people pleasing. Now, another thing about my social anxiety as well, this didn't affect me 2 years ago. This actually affected me about 5 years ago when I was in high school. I would be very anxious of how people perceived me. So a lot of times I would put myself in other people's shoes and their own thought process and view myself through their eyes. That sounds insane, but that is what social anxiety does to you. You just want to know if people are judging you. You just want to know how people are perceiving you. You need to know everything. But the thing is, you are never going to know everything, and that is the fear that you need to step out of. And when it comes to social anxiety, the biggest realization that you need to have is, what are your fears? Social anxiety comes from the fact that we're being perceived differently. People might think we're weird. People might be judging us. We might be giving the wrong answer. We might be asking a stupid question. It just comes from a whole bunch of judgments of what people are perceiving us as. When in reality, if you let go of these judgments and you build the confidence, your social anxiety will slowly start to fade away. So when I first discovered that in order for me to get where I want in life, I need to overcome my social anxiety, the first book I ever read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, for me, I want to be a public speaker. For me, I want to get promotions at work. For me, I want to network with people that I never thought I would be in the same room in. And in order for me to do that, I need to be good at winning friends and influencing people. Basically, in this book, it taught me skills on how to start small talk. It taught me skills of how to be able to communicate to people and be relatable. It taught me skills of how to be interested in what someone is saying and how to be genuinely interested in, and not just talking to talk. Reading this book gave me so much more confidence when it comes to having small talk and when it comes to just creating friends and networking with people. And when I read this book, I had to apply the tools in reality. Every time if I read something that sparked my interest, like, wow, like, this could help me, I would actively take action on whatever I learned in that book. The second thing that helped me back in 2022 was joining organizations at school. So I joined these organizations to be able to network with people and to go to companies and to have one-on-ones with people and to go to these big events. So when you're in these fraternities, you are getting elected for certain positions in these orgs. Though I did not care about having a position, that was the last thing I wanted to do. Too much responsibility. I put myself in the position to run for certain things, whether I got it or not. The first position I ran for was being the president of my pledge class. Did I get it? No. Was it so stressful standing up there? Yes. Did I stutter? Yes. Did I keep eye contact? No. But I did it anyway. And yes, my heart literally felt like it was gonna get out of my chest. The second thing I did when it came to public speaking in that org is then I ran for marketing chair once I got into the fraternity. Did I get the position? No. Was it embarrassing? I felt embarrassed, yes. Did it affect my social anxiety a lot? Yes, I was stuttering. I couldn't articulate my words correctly. The third position I ran for was professional chair, and I got that position. And what did that position make me do? Every Wednesday in our chapter meeting, I had to stand in front of 50 people to talk about the events that me and my co-professional chair had set up. Every Wednesday. And guys, that was the most scariest thing ever. Imagine having to come up all the time just to talk in front of people. I was scared out of my mind all the time, and I would mentally prepare myself every single time. I can talk so much about my experience, but I don't want to keep talking about it. Basically, put yourself in situations where you have to public speak. Now, if you're not in any organizations whatsoever, I recommend at school, instead of asking questions to the professor privately or emailing the professor questions, I recommend literally raising your hand and asking the question. Just ask it. It's gonna help you overcome that fear of judgment. And now, if you're not at school and you're a grown adult and you're at work, you're gonna start putting yourself in positions where you're gonna present to people, where you're going to introduce yourself to new people around the company, where you're gonna go set up one-on-ones with someone you've never met before, and you're going to start asking questions in meetings instead of asking them privately. We all have the tools. In your day-to-day life, we have the tools to overcome social anxiety. It is our fears that don't allow us to see these tools. Now, let's say you don't have a job and you're not in school. Well, what can you do? You can find things, community events, community involvements that puts you in a situation where you have to meet people. You need to put yourself out there in order for you to become a better speaker. And again, like how I said, if you don't know how to start small talk, if you don't know how to have conversations with people, please read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It will help you a lot. Now, the third thing that I did is I read another book. This book is called How to Develop Self-Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking. They're both from the same authors. They're by Dale Carnegie. Now, if you guys are interested in these books, I do have them in my Amazon storefront, which is linked below. This has literally step-by-step tools and realistic examples on how to prepare yourself when it comes to public speaking. A lot of times when we public speak, we don't feel confident. We don't feel like we have the right answer. And after reading this book and like practicing the tools in the book, one thing I came to realize is that it does not matter if what I'm saying is right or wrong. What matters is that I know the facts that I learned wherever I learn these facts that I'm speaking about. If I'm doing a project at school and I'm stating the facts that I learned and the professor's like, where'd you get these facts from? Or he wants to fact check me, I'll be like, listen, dog, this is what I found online. My mistake if I was wrong. That simple. If you're wrong, it's okay. You need to be okay with being wrong and being corrected. That is what it comes to public speaking. And you also need to be confident in what you're speaking about. You can be wrong, but when you're able to articulate your words, when you're able to vocalize yourself, use hand motions like what I've been doing throughout this video, people will believe whatever comes out of your mouth. Hey, maybe I'm a pathological liar and everything I'm saying right now is false, but I'm showing up confident. Now, the fourth thing that had helped me a lot was going to these networking events. I went to a lot of networking events and I've met with so many people. And whenever you're in events where it comes to meeting new people, one, set a goal on how many people you want to talk to and introduce yourself with. And two, set an end result. What is the end result? My end result was one, giving them my resume, and two, following them on LinkedIn. So how do I get there? And I remember there has been so many moments where I would stand in the corner and sometimes they would notice me, other times they won't. And it came to a point where I was like, I'm not gonna stand here like a weirdo waiting for them to notice me. So I'd walk into the conversation. I'm like, hi, sorry to interrupt your conversation, but my name is Juliana, nice to meet you. I just wanna briefly introduce myself, blah, 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 blah. I'm a student at this school studying this, and I wanted to know a little bit more about your background. Boom. I kept it brief, introduction about myself, and I made it all about them. It seems disrespectful by the fact that I bother their conversation, but I'm telling you, if you are a student, this is the perfect time to master getting rid of your social anxiety, because no professional is going to be like, you interrupted our conversation, you're disrespectful. In fact, these professionals that you're networking with are going to be amazed. They're going to be like, wow, you are so brave for coming up here. I'm being so serious. These people would tell me this. You are so brave for coming up here. I want your resume. Boom. I didn't even have to try to give them my resume. They asked for my resume because I would come up to them. If you guys don't have access to networking events, you're gonna go on LinkedIn and you're gonna set up one-on-ones with random people. I also did that too. To overcome my social anxiety, I would go on LinkedIn and set up random one-on-ones. Yes, this is gonna benefit me in my career, but at the same time, I'm doing this for my anxiety. All of this, my motivation was to get rid of my social anxiety. That was my motivation. I was like, I don't want this to define me, and I don't want this to impact my life and how it translates to me in the real world. You have so many tools around you, and you have to take initiative on these tools. From the 2 books that I mentioned, I recommend reading them and applying them into your day-to-day life. Another thing that I did to overcome my social anxiety was becoming more articulate and having a better vocabulary. It almost came to the point where I was going to read the dictionary. But honestly, when I started reading books, my vocabulary enhanced a lot more. Being able to translate my thoughts into words became better. Now, another thing too, when it comes to overcoming your social anxiety, it's a step-by-step process. Every time you are done speaking publicly or introducing yourself, you're gonna come back into yourself and ask yourself, what could I have done better? What did I do good so the next time I could continue that? And what can I learn from this experience? How can I better interact with people? How can I better show eye contact? You have to be fully aware. It came to a point too, like it became a game. It was like, how long can I hold eye contact with someone? Who is going to let go of this eye contact? Because it's not gonna be me. And it became a game to the point where eventually that extreme self-awareness of eye contact kind of vanished. And now I can give eye contact without thinking about it. This advice I'm giving you guys, I know it's coming from a recent grad, but you could apply this again everywhere. I just gave you ideas how to apply it in your career goal. I don't know what else to say, but you have so many tools. And I hope my little story gave you a better look on like, yes, you can overcome social anxiety. And another thing too, I became a TA for 2 semesters for a class of 160 people, and I taught a portion of the class. Do you know how nerve-wracking that is? Do you know how freaking sweaty my armpits got speaking in front of those people? And when it comes to nonverbal communication, practice. Keep practicing when you're talking, and eventually your hands move while your voice talks. I used to come to the point where I'm a pencil, but let your arms flow, jiggle them out, let them do the work, and you will be fine. Now, another thing too I want to mention as well, if you're someone who struggles with eye contact, and you know, I used to have that anxiety where, like guys, I can't stop yapping about my social anxiety. My social anxiety was so bad that when I'm walking in the mall or I'm walking in a large crowd, I don't know where to look. So I just look down because I don't want to like make eye contact with anyone. But now I forced myself. I was like, you know, I'm gonna stand tall, I'm gonna stand confidently, and I'm gonna walk like it's the runway. And that's what your mind needs to be. You're gonna walk down that hall like it's the runway. You're gonna walk down that big social setting like it's the runway. You're gonna walk into wherever you're going in like it's the runway. If you feel like people stare at you when you're walking, just know that they stare at you because you are attractive. Plain and simple. Because this is the psychology. I tell everyone this. So everyone would be like, why are people staring at me? Is something wrong with me? No. People stare at pretty things. People stare at nice things. You see that Birkin bag, or I don't know what men like. You see that freaking Porsche 911. Why do you think you stare at it? You stare at it because you're like, damn, that's fine. So why do you think people are staring at you? They're like, damn, that's fine. Okay? People stare at nice things. Okay, no one's looking at you because something's wrong with you. I promise. And I don't want to hear in the comments that people don't find you attractive. You only perceive people don't find you attractive because you don't think you're attractive. That's the facts. I can make a video about that, calling anyone out who does not find themselves attractive. And other than that, you guys have now seen my transformation. I told you guys what I did. This is just my little story, and I hope to help you guys. I showed you guys the tools. I don't know what else to say, but in the comments below, if you've made it this far to the video, I do want to say that if you have anything specific about social anxiety and I do see a common theme, I will make a video about it. Just because this is just a topic that I am so passionate about, and it's a topic that It's a part of my life. It really is. It still, to this day, it still affects me. But breathe. You will be okay. You gotta keep putting yourself in these positions, and it's a practice. And because I was able to keep fighting that anxiety and overcome it, I think a lot of the things that I've done in the last 2 years of my life have truly happened because I was able to overcome my social anxiety and not let it define me.